Here's a very interesting article that was in the antimedia.org entitled, "If America Wasn't America, the United States Would Be Bombing It." And it's pretty interesting because it basically is talking about former government advisor Edward Lutwick wrote an opinion piece for foreign policy titled, "It's Time to Bomb North Korea." And it lists out all the dangerous, crazy threats of North Korea. And then what this article, what this journalist does is then talk about all the things that America has done. And how if any other nation was doing what we're doing, we would be like, holy shit, these guys are a rogue, crazy country, and we need to watch out for them. And that's what needs to, like, Americans need to understand how the rest of the world is terrified of us, and not a good reason. We're not the good, friendly America that'll come in and help you out if you're in a jam. We're like the crazy, imperialistic empire, evil empire that is just destruction in our path. This is what he says. This is what Lutwick's argument is very straightforward. He said, "There's a government out there that may very soon acquire nuclear weapon capabilities, and this country cannot be trusted to responsibly handle such a stockpile. The responsibility to protect the world from a rogue nation cannot be argued with, and we understandably have a duty to ensure the future of humanity." So this talks about, this article is pretty intriguing here because it talks about what we did at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, obliterating between 135,000 and 300,000 Japanese civilians, right? And firebombing of Tokyo and other areas of Japan, dropping close to 500,000 cylinders of napalm and petroleum jelly on some of Japan's most densely populated areas. Here's what, there's been some new research. Fleet Admiral Chester Nimitz, Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet, stated in a public address at the Washington Monument 2 months after the bombings that, quote, "the atomic bomb played no decisive part from a purely military standpoint in the defeat of Japan." Well, see, that goes against what we've all been taught. We were taught we had to drop these bombs. We had to. Without them, we would have had to commit 1 million more soldiers, and the war would have kept going on in a long, bloody ground battle. Admiral William Bull Halsey Jr., commander of the U.S. Third Fleet, stated publicly in 1946 that, quote, "the first atomic bomb was an unnecessary experiment. It was a mistake to ever drop it. The scientists had this toy and they wanted to try it out, so they dropped it." Wow. A few months prior, the invasion of Japanese island of Okinawa also claimed at least 1/4 of Okinawa's population. The Okinawan people have been protesting this country's military presence ever since. The most recent ongoing protest has lasted well over 5,000 days in a row. Yeah, we're still in Okinawa. I mean, America bombed North Korea into oblivion, destroying over 8,700 factories, 5,000 schools, 1,000 hospitals, 600,000 homes, and eventually killing off as much as 20% of the country's population. As the Asia Pacific Journal has noted, the assaulting country dropped so many bombs that they eventually ran out of targets to hit, turning to bomb the irrigation systems instead. By the fall of 1952, there were no effective targets left for U.S. planes to hit. Every significant town, city, and industrial area in North Korea had been bombed. In the spring of 1953, the Air Force targeted irrigation dams on the Yalu River, both to destroy the North Korean rice crop and to pressure the Chinese, who would have to supply more food aid to the north. 5 reservoirs were hit, flooding thousands of acres of farmland, inundating whole towns and laying waste to essential food source for millions of North Koreans. I mean, it goes on to what we did in Vietnam, right? Dumped 20 million gallons of toxic herbicide in Vietnam from the air. Killed about 100,000 children. Even decades later, little kids with misshapen heads, webbed hands, and fused eyelids, writhing in cots. That was our American legacy. I mean, we've bombed Yugoslavia, Panama, Grenada. The 1.7 million people we killed in Iraq, including 500,000 to 600,000 children. I mean, it just goes on and on what we've done. This article is written as though it's talking about this violent nation, this rogue nation. It doesn't mention the United States. It just lists all this stuff, and it talks as though it's another country. And how would we be responding if some one country was responsible for all this stuff? Right? It just goes on and on. When we're not directly bombing a country, it's also arming radical insurgent groups, creating instability and directly overthrowing governments through its covert operatives on the ground. If we have any empathy for humanity, it is clear that this country must be stopped. It cannot continue to act like this to the detriment of the rest of the planet and safely and securely the rest of us. This country openly talks about using its nuclear weapons, has used them before, and has continued to use all manner of weapons unabated in the years since, while threatening to expand the use of these weapons to other countries. Seriously. If North Korea seems like a threat, imagine how the rest of the world feels while watching one country violently take on the rest of the planet single-handedly, leaving nothing but destruction in its wake and promising nothing less than a nuclear holocaust in the years to come. Think about that. Think about everything America is doing in our name with our tax dollars. Thanks for watching the show.